am going to yap to you about some cryptids. What originally started this idea was, I asked people on Discord what their favorite cryptid was, and some people didn't know what a cryptid was, or wasn't too interested, or rather, like, they didn't really just have knowledge about it to give a, you know, answer. So I was like, okay, awesome. I'm going to teach you. So I did a lot of research. I drew some things. I made some, like, little graphics, and I hope you guys like them. I'm so excited. So, with that being said, let's start at the very, very beginning. What is a cryptid? We have the next one. The exact definition and what cryptids actually are has been debated for a really long time, but it is generally agreed upon that aliens, objects, fictional characters, and mythical creatures are not cryptids. I think a cryptid is my cousin. You know what? That also counts. But to give you some examples of the previously mentioned stuff, aliens are extraterrestrial, and cryptids are supposed to be from Earth. And obviously, objects are not a living, breathing thing. Fictional characters like Slenderman is not a cryptid. Mythical creatures such as phoenixes and stuff like that are not a cryptid either. And the distinction between a mythical creature and a cryptid is that mythical creatures usually have magical powers and are generally understood to be purely fiction from like folktales and folklore, all that stuff. On the other hand, cryptids are seen as real biological creatures rather than fiction. Again, the exact definition has been debated for a pretty long time. And so, with that being said, my definition from after doing a bunch of research and such, a cryptid is a creature that may or may not actually exist. It has unverified sightings and is not recognized by science because real physical proof is non-existent. So, such physical proof includes physical body with bones and DNA intact. Blood or tissue samples help sequencing DNA to prove we discovered an animal, right? So, a lot of quote-unquote cryptids that were found ended up being sequenced to already existing animals. So, you know, kind of debunked right there. But some people might ask, like, do footprints, hair, and photos not count? No, because they can be easily manipulated. Like, there have been many, many cases where people, like, you know, put down footprints and they just, like, forged the entire thing. They edited photos to, like, make people think they saw something, but yeah. Sadly, none of that stuff actually counts. You need a physical body to help sequence their DNA to confirm it's an actual living thing. So my cousin Bigfoot isn't real. I'm so sorry. What about when a body is found with DNA that doesn't match known species? Then that would be like a brand new animal. Is mayonnaise a cryptid? Could be debatable. Depends who you're talking to. But yeah, so, next. Disclaimer! I included the creatures that adhere to my definition of a cryptid, but feel free to disagree. You know, I think the really awesome thing about, like, learning about this type of stuff is there are gonna be debates and disagreements, and that's okay, you know? So, it'll just be a fun little thing, and just keep in mind, I did not include, like, every single cryptid. I just chose a couple for, like, an introductory thing, and if people end up liking this and they want me to do more, I could do more. Are we doing a cryptid smash or pass? Not exactly. So, how this is going to work is I'm gonna show the first slide of each cryptid with a description of a sighting, and your objective is to guess which cryptid it is. And then after that, I'm gonna tell you all about, like, the lore and stuff like that. If you want to do a cryptid smash or pass later on, then fuck it, we ball. But for right now, I'm just telling you the details. And then, while I'm doing it, you can think about which one you want to smash and pass, okay? I'll give you that right. But don't say it yet. Just think about it while we're going through each slide. This first one that I'm going to show you is known to most people. I'm sure every single person in this room has probably heard of this one, but we're going to start out real easy, okay? So, creature sighting! A large bipedal hairy creature with big feet. Who is this, guys? Who is this? Pikachu! Good, yes! Music's cousin, yes! It's Eden. I'm offended! It is not me! But yes, it is Bigfoot! Yay! So like I said, this is one of like the most well-known cryptids, but it also comes with like a ton of lore. With that being said, this is probably the one that I found the most information on because, like I said, it's the most popular. So I drew this picture, and I put some like little photos together, so it was like kind of photo bashing. This is my rendition of this famous like Bigfoot photo sighting. So yippee! This is what is claimed to be a real Bigfoot sighting. Now, do you think it's real? Because, like I said, this is one of the most popularized Bigfoot sightings, as it was the first, maybe proof that Bigfoot might be out there. I hate you showing my photo on stream. This is you? I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't know. I thought it was free domain because it's everywhere. But anyways, yeah. So many claim this one is fake and feel it's just someone walking around in a gorilla suit in the woods, which isn't really far from the truth. The origin of the photo is actually a still from a film made by two men. I found an article when doing research about this, and allegedly, the man who sold the suit to one of the filmmakers kept the secret until the buyer died. He confirmed that one of the men did in fact buy a gorilla suit and modified it to be more Bigfoot-like for their film. What do you think? True? Fake? It could be real, it could be fake. But honestly, I respect the shit out of that, because there was also something in the article that said he was a magician and he was respecting the act and he did not want to give away the secret until the guy died. I think that's pretty fucking like Giga Chad. What do you think? I thought that was pretty fucking cool. You know? So I believe it personally. But yeah, that's the story behind this photo. And then next up we have it was Bigfoot! Several impossibly large human-like footprints have been sighted over the years. And many of them have kind of like conflicting reports. Some people say it's a four-toed thing. Some people say five-toed. Some even say six-toed. So we don't actually know how many toes Bigfoot has. Because, like I said, so many different conflicting sightings. Eden is showing her foot freak side live on stream. No! Okay, anyways. So I'm gonna give you a little lore, okay? Explorer David Thompson mapped and recorded over 50,000 miles of North America, and that's about, I think, like 90,000 kilometers for people who don't know shit about miles. And later in his life, he recounted his journey and wrote a historical narrative about all the stuff he did on that journey. It was edited and published about 100 years after his death. So, the narrative was titled David Thompson's Narrative of His Explorations in Western America, 1784 to 1812. Why is this relevant? Well, let me explain. Within this book is what is accredited by many to be the first Bigfoot track sighting. In the early 1800s, Thompson was exploring the Rocky Mountains in Canada and found very large tracks in the snow along a riverbank. They were 14 inches long and 8 inches wide, with 4 distinct toes and some short claws. The ball of the foot had a very deep indentation. And when he asked the surrounding indigenous groups, they told him that it could have been a mammoth. However, interestingly enough, by that time, the mammoths were considered extinct, gone, dead. So, this is kind of really interesting because I read further about this, and apparently these indigenous groups were actually seeing frozen mammoth carcasses that were already extinct by this time and were exposed by permafrost thawing. And what a lot of, like, people actually believed at the time was that there were giant earth rats that burrowed into the ground with their large teeth, which were actually tusks, and then died instantly with exposure to the sunlight. And what I found so interesting was that they didn't know those things were elephants, and they were dead for a long-ass time and being preserved by being frozen. Isn't that so fucking cool? I don't know, it's like, I was like reading so much about this and I thought it was like, holy shit, dude, that's so interesting. What the fuck? So yeah, technically the mammoth part has nothing to do with Bigfoot, but I wanted to tell you anyway because yeah, but there are also other accounts, to go back to the Bigfoot thing, that were saying maybe it was a mistranslation because, could they have been fucking with David Thompson when they told him it was a mammoth, or did they mean mammoth as in a very large creature? We don't know and we will never know, but there is, like, proof that people thought that the mammoths were, you know, actually rats. So, very interesting! And, to bring it back to, like, modern times, a lot more recent track sightings include finding prints and it going absolutely bonkers, like being completely sensationalized. After years passed, there were reveals that the tracks were forged in some way. For example, a few instances included large carved wooden feet to make the tracks, and they were doing this to either prank people or scare them away from, like, you know, farmland or something. So, what the fuck? I mean, for example, I literally saw an article about a guy who reported the Bigfoot tracks, and then turns out his coworker was playing a prank on him because you know how they found out? He died, and then in his basement they found several really big, like, feet prints. Like, they were carved out of wood, and he was using them to fucking prank his coworker. Isn't that fucking crazy? Bro, I would be rolling in my fucking grave. I would be so upset. Like, I lived my life thinking Bigfoot was real, and this motherfucker was using large carved wooden feet to make me think he was real. That's fucked up. So, what do you think it could have been besides people, like, pranking and whatnot? Like, could it have been an animal? Someone in a gorilla suit? What do you guys think? Clearly, it was some furries in the woods. So, here is the possible explanations that I found besides, like, the obvious hoaxes. It could have been, in many cases, a misidentified black bear standing up, maybe with mange. Looks surprisingly human. Like, I don't know, if you could see this thing in the dark, I think that looks pretty human-like. If you don't know what mange is, by the way, it basically makes an animal, like, lose all its hair. It's like a parasite. And, it's a little mite. It gives them scabs. It just gives them a very, like, skinny-looking appearance, you know? And it's not fun. So, it does, strangely enough, make a lot of animals look nothing like how they're supposed to. Because, like, you know, the hair and fur makes them, like, look how they're supposed to. So, yeah. That's Bigfoot! Yay! We did it! But, other possible explanations that we kind of already talked about. People pranking, people dressing up in gorilla suits, people just manipulating photos of gorillas, blah, 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 all that stuff, you know. So, yeah. I'm in the gorilla suit. I thought I was doing a good job. It makes me think of the freaking SpongeBob episode of the guy in the gorilla suit, man. Okay, so our next one is also one that I'm pretty sure everybody in this chat has seen as well, but I wanted to cover our bases, you know, as a little introduction and stuff. Creature sighting! A large, long-necked creature with humps and flippers. What is this? Don't say eat into everything! They're not me! But yes, Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster. Yes. Even though the official name is the Loch Ness Monster, a lot of people affectionately call it Nessie, which, cute little name, you know? It is believed to inhabit Loch Ness in Scotland. So, it's a very specific place where this has been sighted. The first official early sighting is credited to ancient times, and also, local stone carvings depict a creature that looks very close to the Loch Ness Monster. So, a lot of people were also already connecting the dots like, this is definitely something that we've seen, you know? And then, the first actual documented sighting is described in a 7th century biography by Saint Columba. Saint Columba encountered a group that were busy burying a friend on the banks of Loch Ness. And the group alleged that their friend was attacked by a mysterious beast in the water while swimming. Supposedly, Columba healed the man with his staff and then ordered one of his own men to swim across the loch and bring him back a boat. Now, ain't that some shit? Imagine seeing a man that literally just died from going into there, and you tell one of your men, you know what? You're gonna go swim across there, and you bring me back a boat. Isn't that fucked up? But the man was very loyal, so of course, he went right back into the water. The next thing you know, he's being chased by the monster! And Columba watches this happen for like, you know, a couple minutes. And then he finally goes up to the edge of the loch and starts exclaiming, "You will go no further! Do not touch the man! Leave at once!" And you know what? The fucking monster stopped immediately and fled. So, that is like the first official documented sighting. So then, next up, here we have like more modern sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. A couple sighted a huge creature swimming in a river and reported it to the news. That's like one of the most like, you know, obvious ones. There's a lot of different sightings like that that include the same thing. All of them describe a creature that has a very long neck, maybe the head of a horse, a goat, a lot of different accounts. And they all say the creature has like several humps on its body and flippers. And yeah, another one was a couple sighted the giant monster and it apparently crossed in front of their car and disappeared back into the water. So that was another really big sighting for that. And supposedly lots of footprints were also found, but they were debunked. Someone figured out that people were making the tracks from umbrella stands or ashtrays. People are freaking creative! So like a lot of these, I guess, were just really easy to believe back in like the early 1800s to 1900s because like we didn't have the technology we have now, so people were just making shit the fuck up to be rich and famous, and usually it worked. Trying to make footprints of a monster who lives in water as well, it's a choice. Yeah, so they were trying to mimic like the freaking flipper thing. So, this is a photo that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. This is one of the very first photos of the Loch Ness Monster. I hate to burst your bubble, but also, this photo is actually a fake plastic head attached to a toy submarine, and they had everyone wrapped around their finger at this time period because, oh my god, this loch had people coming to visit and they were getting so much money. In the late 90s and even early 2000s, a lot of monster hunters tried to track the beast, but none were successful. So, 07. Several sonar sweeps, however, mostly found nothing, but a few noted several unexplained anomalies in the loch's depths. So, could it have been the Loch Ness Monster? Supposedly this thing lives at the bottom, and we can't technically go there, so is it there? Is it just, you know, waiting? Could be anything. Why can't we get there? How deep? If I remember correctly, The depths of this was about, I think, 800 feet, if I remember correctly. It was something like that. It's really deep, so no human can actually go down there, I'm pretty sure. And it's super, super dark. I've been to the loch before. It's actually really nice. Fun fact, there was one guy who got paid by the British Parliament for like months and months on end to investigate for Nessie, and he spent most of his time getting drunk and just chilling. Bro, ain't that some shit? Man, I'm gonna go look for the Loch Ness Monster. I'm just gonna chill on my boat, press a little bit of buttons, fucking get drunk. Did you know that Tumblr calculated how many people it would take and how long it would take to drink the entire Loch Ness to see if anything was really down there? I remember something like that, yes. Let's fucking go. But yeah, possible explanations. A lot of people thought this could be the last surviving plesiosaur. So that's this creature. It's exactly what it looks like. And honestly, I love me some dinosaurs, so I'm gonna say I buy it. Man, I fucking buy it. Let's go. Also, it could also be misidentified catfish or sturgeons because these are some really, really big freaking fish. So I think from afar you might mistake it for like some other creature. And another thing, sorry I couldn't fit them on this image, but even eels, since if I remember correctly, when they were doing the sonar sweeps, they did find a lot of eels, and eels can get freaking huge too. So if you see one of those things coming up for water, what the fuck am I talking about? Like just coming up to the top of the water, I think you could definitely see how people were picturing, like, they have humps in the water! Like an eel would definitely be like that. There's a reason eels can flatline you if they want. Them things are monsters. Yeah, so honestly, the most believable thing to me would be like people just seeing giant eels or something, because there was a lot of evidence of those things actually being there. But yeah, so that is the Loch Ness Monster. We have another one. A hairless, emaciated creature with prominent teeth. What is this? Oh, yeah! Easy enough. Yup, chupacabra! Yeah. So, I'm really proud of this one because I drew it myself. If you aren't really sure about that name, its name literally translates to goat sucker because it was said to attack livestock and consume their blood in a very specific way. It literally seemed like they were sucking the blood and just leaving the rest of the body. And to go on to some eyewitnesses, several farmers reported their cattle and sheep, basically like any type of livestock, even like people's pets, found dead with their blood drained. A lot of the killings were associated with untouched carcasses other than 2 puncture wounds that were said to like be for sucking the blood out of the victim, sort of like a vampire. So a lot of people were thinking, oh my god, it's a vampire that's doing it. It's vampirism, you know? And also, many of the very early reports of this creature described it as standing upright, resembling a reptilian with red eyes. So there is like many different types of chupacabras from what I've been seeing when I was doing research, but like the 2 most prominent ones are the one that looks like a reptilian standing on 2 legs, and then one that kind of resembles like some type of canine, which is the one that I'm showing you on screen. So, to go back to the reptilian one, supposedly the explanation for this original sighting was this. I don't know if any of you guys recognize this character, but it's named Syl. It's from the 1995 movie Species, and it's actually on record that it influenced the original person's sighting. Isn't that fucking crazy? I would have given you a more full body picture, but this creature apparently literally has nipples, so like I cut it off, okay? I cut it off. I thought chupacabra has been around way before the 90s. Yeah. But apparently this is what influenced that person's perception. To bring it back to the other one, This seems to be the more modern, accepted version of the chupacabra, which again is the one that I drew. It's depicted as a hairless, dog-like creature that stands on 4 feet instead of 2 like the previous one. But like I was saying before, there are many, many different depictions. Some are alien-like, some are bat-like, some have wings, some don't. But again, the dog seems to be the most popular. There are quite a few possible explanations, not even possible, actual confirmed explanations. So again, this kind of brings it back. I couldn't actually draw this picture well enough, so I just took a picture from Google, and I didn't think it was too graphic or anything, so I was okay with showing it. The explanation for this is there was a bunch of misidentified coyotes and raccoons with mange. Again, mange is like a huge thing in a lot of these cryptid sightings because a lot of people don't actually understand that, you know, mange is a thing. And it's understandable, especially since a lot of these sightings date way back, so a lot of the research and stuff that we have access to now, a lot of people didn't. Yeah, this is a real photo of a coyote with mange. Several scientists actually took in specimens of the supposed chupacabra, and a good portion of them actually ended up being coyotes, or other similar animals with mange, which again gave them that rough and hairless appearance. A theory for why these animals were attacking livestock in waves is the areas that the chupacabra was spotted were dealing with the aftermath of severe droughts. Wild predators had to resort to attacking livestock because their food source was diminishing. Because, you know, with drought leads to a lot of, like, you know, animals end up starving and such, so they had to just get whatever they could. And you know what happens when an animal gets very starved? That's when they get really brutal and start killing things, and in very large numbers. So that does seem to be the scientist explanation for, like, why they were killed in, like, such a specific way, why so brutal, why this, why that. And having mange also made things like 10 times worse, so that's the explanation from scientists, supposedly. I thought that was really interesting, because I knew about the chupacabra stuff, but I didn't know about, like, the, scientific explanation, so that was really, really interesting to learn about. But yeah, we can go on to the next one. We have another creature sighting! A flying bipedal creature with a horse-like head, horns, and hooves. What's this one? Yeah! Yeah! The Jersey Devil! It's not me! Hey, guys, I don't have hooves or a horse-like head, or at least I hope I don't. But yeah, it's most commonly known as the Jersey Devil, but some people also know it as the Leeds Devil, and it has a really fucking interesting backstory. Many have claimed they've seen this creature lurking in New Jersey's Pine Barrens. That is like the very, very area where this thing is apparently seen the most. But a lot of people have seen them all over, apparently from New Jersey to Philadelphia to like a whole bunch of other places, but the main place is New Jersey. The origin of the Jersey Devil dates back to a woman named Mother Leeds. She had 12 children, and after having a child the 13th time, she cursed the child and famously said, "Let the child be the devil." And so, the child was supposedly born normally, but right after, he grew claws, wings, and a tail. He flew out to the Pine Barrens, never to be seen again. Apparently, this creature caused terror to anyone who spotted it. It killed livestock and brought bad luck to anyone it saw. If you spotted this creature, you were in for a bad time. So, there are many, many different versions of the tale I just told you, but they all come back to the same woman named Mother Leeds. A bunch of, like, people actually found the original woman that this, like, tale was told about. There's also many, many sightings throughout the 1900s of people claiming they have actually seen the Jersey Devil. Some say their livestock was killed in a very specific way, and the Jersey Devil would scream, and they would find, like, hoof prints. Others say the creature attacked public places, and They tried to shoot at it, but apparently it did not back down after that. It was not affected by the bullets. How old is this story? It's quite old, so sorry. I probably should have put the dates more, but I know it's from like ages ago. There are a lot of possible explanations for this thing, but for like creature-wise, a lot of people were saying that it could have been a misidentified sandhill crane, and also the supposed cause of this entire legend is the local disdain for the Leeds family due to religious and social disputes, and as a result, the public was trying to shun the family. Isn't that fucked up? Like, there's this whole fucking story just because the public did not like this one family. And another thing that I thought was very interesting when I was doing more research, supposedly there is an animal called a giant hammerhead bat. Have you guys ever heard of that before? This is what it looks like. Dude, that's literally the Jersey Devil, dude! I also made sure this picture was real. It is. It's a real picture. This is a real animal. And it has like a horse-shaped head. It's got very big wings. It's a big guy. A lot of people actually do think this is what some people might have been seeing. Supposedly, this animal is not native to America at all. And someone was thinking that maybe, you know, someone just like let it loose and just let it scare the shit out of people because nobody knew what the fuck it was. We have another creature sighting! So this one might be a lesser known one, but I'm very curious to see if anybody knows what the fuck it is. It is a bipedal with a frog-like head and leathery skin. It's not Eden! Animal Crossing villagers. Dude, when I was freaking drawing it, I was like, wait, this is literally just Animal Crossing, but no. So, this is the Loveland frog. It's a frog-like being that is reported as standing 3 to 4 feet tall in Loveland, Ohio, hence the name. And the first sighting is a police officer reported seeing an animal with leathery skin scuttling across the road in front of his vehicle. He said the animal crouched like a frog before it stood up, climbed over the guardrail towards the rivers. And so, let me tell you, a lot of his coworkers thought he was batshit crazy. He might have been. I guess we'll find out. Another police officer, which was coworkers with the previous one, supposedly saw the same creature a few weeks later and shot the animal and put it in his trunk to show his coworker. The other officer agreed that this was the same creature he spotted prior. And here's another one, another sighting. A businessman was driving along a road and spotted 3 figures standing on their hind legs with leathery skin and frog faces, which is where I got the inspiration for the picture. Supposedly, these 3 frog-like things were conversing, and one of the creatures had a wand-like device on its head. It started releasing sparks, and the businessman ended up fleeing because he got real scared. Now, to me, it sounds like this guy was high off his ass, and he saw a bunch of crackheads under the bridge, and he thought these were frogs. Now, isn't that some fucked up shit? So what this creature ended up being was a misidentified giant tailless iguana. It's just a fucking lizard, yep. And the officer did say this was a tailless iguana that was probably someone's pet, and it ended up escaping and growing abnormally large. To give them a little bit of credit, to be fair, all of these sightings, from what I've read, were in the darkness, so it might be a little easy to fuck up what you're seeing, especially if you're a little delirious or something, or, you know, you're high as fuck, drunk as fuck, you don't know what the hell you're seeing. So, yeah. But I still find it really funny that the one guy saw like 3 people under a bridge and was like, those are frog people. This is why I included it, because it reminded me of us. Oh man, so yeah, this is like one of the lesser known cryptids, and I wanted to include it because, you know, yeah. Now, the next one might be a little debatable, whether or not it's actually a cryptid, but I'd like to hear your opinions. I have an explanation myself of why I consider it a cryptid, but I'll give, like, both sides of the argument. So, here we go. You can't really see it. I might be covering him a little bit, but he's there, he's at the bottom. So, creature sighting! A small and fast creature that has dangerous horns. What is this? He's a jackalope! Yeah! So, we got our little crackhead gathering here. We're roasting some marshmallows. Hell yeah! And we got some fucking whiskey. Awesome. A jackalope is a jackrabbit with horns similar to an antelope. It can mimic sounds and voices very scarily accurate. And it is said that whiskey can also entice them. There's many different folklores and stories of these creatures all across time. Like, way from, like, when the Aztecs were doing their thing, all the way to the Renaissance and beyond. According to the legends, jackalopes were so dangerous that hunters wore stovepipes to keep their legs from being gored. That's like how bad their freaking horns hurt people. Would soju work? Apparently, only whiskey. But yeah, there are hundreds of, like, Renaissance paintings and stuff that feature rabbits with horns. It's really interesting. And like I said before, the easiest way to catch a jackalope is to entice it with whiskey, and apparently it will get very drunk, and it'll just be really easy to capture after that. In other legends, cowboys would sing at night, and jackalopes would mimic their voices and sing along. And then the cowboys would be like, wait a minute, there's only 4 of us. Why can we hear 5 voices? Who is that? And then they turn around and it's a fucking little rabbit. They were also said to only breed during lightning storms. The jackalopes, by the way, not the cowboys. Which explains why they were so rare. And so, there's another explanation that kind of disproves this as being a cryptid, but I like the other one because, like, obviously that's cooler. But the, like, more boring explanation is a pair of taxidermists threw a rabbit carcass into their shop, and it accidentally lined up perfectly with the deer's antlers, so it gave them the really good idea to just sell this, because it's fucking cool. I think a hotel bought the first one for like $10, and keep in mind this was so long ago that $10 was considered a lot, so they were like, we're fucking rich! Hell yeah! So they did a whole bunch of these, and they made a whole business out of it. It was fucking sick. I thought that was pretty cool. Like, imagine having such a happy accident like that. That's crazy. But yeah, that's the more recent explanation for this. I believe it happened in the early 1900s, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it sold way past their expectations, so they kept doing it. But, to go back to, like, the original cryptid, the possible explanations are rabbits with Shope papillomavirus, which also is known as SPV. Some people might know it as that. And basically, it affected wild rabbits and caused them to grow hard, horn-like cancerous skin tumors. And from afar, it looks like they literally have horns. They sprout from the head and face, and like I said, if you see them at nighttime, you probably think you just saw a rabbit with horns. It's a really sad thing. I didn't want to include an actual picture because the pictures do get a little, like, graphic. But if you're curious yourself, just look up rabbits with SPV and you could see it yourself. But I don't recommend it. It's really sad. That's scarier than the cryptids for real! So, we can go to the next one, which might also be a super popular one that I'm sure a lot of people know. It's a large creature with giant wings and glowing red eyes. Who dis? Yeah! It's Moth-man! No, it's not me! It's Moth-man, yeah! So, Moth-man is described as a 7-foot-tall, human-like creature with large wings folded behind its back and also glowing red eyes. Supposedly, the eyes also had a hypnotic effect, which a lot of people seem to talk about in their witness accounts. The very first sighting was two couples reported that they saw a large creature with glowing red eyes. It was at the site of a former World War II munitions plant. Now, this was called the TNT area by the locals. Fishermen reported that the chemicals in this munitions plant were left to seep into the ponds, and it ended up polluting the entire area. So that's a little important to remember. And then, supposedly, they were driving away from this creature at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour, and the creature was keeping up with them. So that's scary as fuck. When they arrived in town, the creature was no longer following them, and there was no sign of it. They decided to go to the police despite being scared no one would believe them. However, last minute, they decided to turn around and check the munitions plant one more time to make sure they weren't all, like, just in, severe hysteria or something. So they were like, let's go back, let's go check. We can't tell them unless we have a second look. So they went back to the munitions plant. They saw the creature there again, and it leapt over their car this time and disappeared. They didn't see it again after that. So they got back in their car, they fucking sped away to go back to contact the police. And the police were like, okay. I'm pretty sure the police did not believe them, but the people seemed very scared, so they were like, okay, let's go check it out. Police went back and searched the entire area. They discovered nothing. After that, the local press started printing and reporting the story, and it went absolutely crazy. It went absolutely viral. A lot of people were starting to report more Mothman sightings. A lot of them. Why is the Blobbin so scared? He just saw Mothman! He's scared as fuck! But, here's something that I'm also sure a lot of you guys have seen. This is the very famous Mothman statue. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it. Look at him, dude! Holy fuck! And if you want to know what it says, Legend of the Mothman. On a chilly fall night in November 1966, two young couples drove into the TNT area north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they realized they were not alone. What they saw that night has evolved into one of the great mysteries of all time, hence the Mothman legacy began. It has grown into a phenomenon known all over the world by millions of curious people asking questions. What really happened? What did these people see? Has it been seen since? It still sparks the world's curiosity, the mystery behind Point Pleasant, West Virginia's Mothman. And then on the bottom, it gives some credits by who made it and such. And the next picture I'm gonna show you, I don't know why I'm showing it to you, but you're gonna notice something real fast. I don't know if you see it, but I'm kind of looking at the background. I'm like, wow, dude, they got a freaking clock on the street. Oh my god, the freaking building is red and yellow. Yeah, you might be seeing a little something that made this statue so fucking famous. Also, I just want you to know, a lot of people travel to see the statue specifically to take a picture with the back more than the front. There is a couple possible explanations for what the hell that couple might have seen that night, and what several people might have seen. It could have been a misidentified sandhill crane, which seems to be a common, theme in some of the cryptid sightings, because this bird is, fucking crazy. It has a really large wingspan. It also has, a red top of the head, where a lot of people think that's its eyes. And, a lot of people also think it could be a great horned owl, because you don't really realize how big these owls can be until you see them in person. A lot of people think these fuckers are tiny. They are actually pretty large with a really impressive wingspan as well. So, a lot of the drawings that I've seen people make are very, very close to what I imagine is an owl. So, I would not doubt that if there's a person that has never seen an owl before, and they saw this fucking thing staring at them, it's scary! Have you guys ever seen, a deer staring at you? like in the middle of the night or something, it's fucking scary. You know it's a deer. But it's like, it's really uncanny. There's just something about it that makes you feel really, really freaked out. And I feel like that's what a lot of these stories are. Like, just people, you know, misrepresenting what they've seen. But another thing about Mothman, too, that I didn't make a slide for, but apparently this guy is also associated with a bunch of disasters. Apparently there were a bunch of sightings and then, like, a bridge collapsed or something. I don't know the full story because I didn't research the full thing to, like, make sure that was true, but that's what a lot of people said. Okay, so, you know what? I actually kind of have been going through this faster than I thought. We're already on the last one! Oh my god! Let's fucking go! A small creature with long fluffy ears usually found near specific seating arrangements. It's not me! So it might actually be me! So it says Eden is sighted sitting alone on a bench. Approaching it results in a series of rather pathetic noises and flailing, followed by it running away. Also, I would like to give credit to, False in chat, because I just stole this from them. They fucking wrote this when I asked people what their favorite cryptid was. Yeah. It runs away, especially if the pretty women or handsome men approach it. So if you are one of those, please do not approach. It's gonna run away. Oh, man. And, so supposedly there's been many different sightings of this creature. It's usually been seen in different, like, cities, different, you know, towns, many different states across the United States. Some people have even seen her in Canada. Isn't that fucking crazy? Wow. And it's always on a very specific seating arrangement. So when I approached you and you didn't run away, does that mean I'm ugly? This isn't me! You're not ugly! Ooh! Misidentified streamer, Eden VTuber! That's not me! But yeah! So that is the end of my presentation. I spent a lot of time on this because I put together each individual slide myself. I did all the research myself. I made sure to cross-check the research as well. For cryptids in particular, there's a lot of conflicting information. So for some of them, I tried to, like, connect the dots to, like, the things that were most common and stuff. So I hope you guys liked it. If you liked it, we could definitely do more in the future. I did also draw a decent amount of this. Some of them were, like, free little PNGs that I found, or, like, you know, obviously the pictures of my model and the blobbins. But I did draw most of it. So, yippee!